This is going to be probably the final version of the stream because apparently copyright's an issue. So I'm not going to be playing video, but we're just going to basically be going through some service modes on this TV. Now, in case you don't know, service mode is basically like a debugging when it comes to CRTs. And mine just so happens to have a secret service mode, and I'll show you how to do it. So this one from my model is this Sanyo DS13204, and to activate service mode, you have to unplug the TV, which I'm going to do here, and you're going to have to hold the menu button on the TV and then plug it back in. So I'm going to put this down because I can't do it, and then hold it down, and you'll see that the TV actually has this menu right here. So you'll notice that I can use the remote to go up and down through the list, and there's various ones, like you'll see like some of them like do interesting things, like that one turns black and white. And so I'm going to be showing you what each of these look like. So let's go ahead and look at the first one. So how I'm doing this is that I'm using a reference on my computer right here, and I'll be going through all of the service modes. It should be pretty quickly. It's just going to be a bit of a breather, but we're going to go through all of them right now. Okay, so the first one is SEO. SEO is the title. Basically these right here, this is the title. This right here is the value that you can set. This is the binary, and then actually the function is written next to the title on this screen. So I'm going to be reading it off, and we're going to be going through some service mode stuff. So let's start off with 3C. 3C is SEO, and this function is called subcolor. So I'm assuming that this actually just affects the color, which is really what it's doing now. So if I just put this down, you'll see that the color is actually changing. It's hard to see, but if I go back and forth here, you can see it's going dark and bright and dark and bright. So let's go ahead and put it back to its initial value. So the initial value that I'll be saying would be the factory settings and stuff. So let's go ahead. The initial setup for hex is 1D. So these values right here are written in hexadecimal, and then this is the binary and stuff, and this is hex, and like I said, this is the title. So the next one we're going to look at is 3D, which is STI, which stands for subtent. And by the way, if you want to you have to make sure, if you want to restore it, you're going to have to basically you basically have to make sure that the initial value, which right here is the initial value. Sorry if I'm confusing. The value has to be the initial value if you want it to be on the factory settings, because if you mess with some of these settings, then you will kind of be in a loophole. So the 1D right here is the initial setup. So let's go ahead and look at the STI. STI is subtent, and the initial setup value is 8. So as you can see, it's on 8, and right here, And if I change the values right here, I'm assuming it's going to change the tint. So I can go back and forth here, right here, and you can see another change and stuff. Let's go ahead and put it back to 8. All right, next one is 3E, which is SB. You'll see it looks like it turned it black and white, so this is obviously going to change the brightness. So subbright is the function. The initial setup is 20, and basically that's basically what it does. As you can see, it's as I increase it, it's getting brighter, I assume, or like something like that. So as you can see, it can go bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. And like I said, this hexadecimal value is also responding to a binary value as I change it. So let's go ahead and put the initial value back to 20. But that's just what it looks like, and you can actually see the transition between that. So let's put it back to 20. All right, next one is SSH. It is 3F, which is the next one, SSH. And that stands for the function sharpness. So I assume this is going to change the sharpness. It's not that noticeable because it's a CRT, but I can kind of see like the picture getting a little bit sharper. It's hard to tell, but hopefully you can kind of see that. So the initial value for the sharpness is 5. So let's put it back to 5. All right, next one is AFC, which is horizontal frequency. Sorry. Next one is 40, which is AFC6HFR. Initial value is 9E, and like I said, that is AFC horizontal frequency. And you'll also notice that the title also is like the abbreviation of the function if you remember it. So that's 9E. So let's see what this does. So if I change it, I really don't see anything. I think this has something to do with a tuner. I don't know, or it could be something else, but I just don't know what it means. Like, I apologize for that. So the initial setup is 9E, so let's put it back to 9E. Next one is 41, hex number 41, and it is HBS7HP, and that stands for horizontal blanking and horizontal phase. So the initial value for that one is 10. And you'll see that the screen actually shifts as I do this, but you'll see if I do it more, as you can see, it does seem to be like a loop. So if I hold down this, you'll see that the screen is constantly moving like that, and then it happens on the side too. So the initial value for that one was 10, so let's put it back to 10. All right, next one is 42, and that is vertical size, and the initial value for that one is 45. So this one, you'll see we can actually change the size of the screen. So I can make this a lot bigger. I can make this really wide, or I can shrink it all the way. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like when it's 0, 0. You'll see the screen is shrinking, which is quite cool. And you'll see the display's also shrinking. So that's 0. And then if we do that, you'll see the jump and stuff. It looks kind of cool when I do that. But let's go ahead and put it back to the original value, which is 45. All right, so the next one is 43, and it is VSP7VPO, and the initial value is OF, and it is a vertical sync separator and vertical position. So if I just modify this, you'll see it's starting to jitter. Now I'm assuming that this has something to do with, like, you know, how much it reacts, like something like if I do it to FF, you'll notice that there's a big jump. So maybe if it's picking up like an analog signal, like this is like the intensity. That's my guess of what this is. But you'll see as I'm doing this, the screen is kind of jumping and bouncing. Really cool. The initial setup value for that one is 45. I'm sorry, not 45. OF. And let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and put that back to OF. Next one is GRY7CR S5VLN. That one's pretty long. And the initial value for that one is 92, and it is gray mode, cross, black and white, vertical linearity. So if I mess with that, if I mess with that, you'll see that we get something. Let me see what this does. So, oh, sorry, I'm messing with the wrong one. 9E. This. So if let's see what this does. Like, I'm trying to see what this is. Like, it says gray mode, cross, black, white. I don't see anything, but I think this has something to do with something else. I don't know what it does, but man, it made the screen look weird. Maybe if I go to FF. I mean, not FF. Oh, this puts a cross. That's cool. That's cool. So the initial value is 92. So let's go ahead and put that back. But that's really actually helpful if you're trying to align the screen centered, if you're doing it like that. So that was the GRYCRS5VLN. That was 44. And let's take a look at 45, which is HBL. Oh, that's interesting. This one says HBL, but for this one, this is HBR. Kind of funny. I'll just read it anyways. HBL 5VSC, except this one's an HBR 5VSC. And this one has an initial setup of EA, and it is horizontal blanking, right, and vertical S correction. Now, I do know what these do. I do know what the vertical S does. It does this thing right here. But what's interesting about this one is that it basically loops, if you know what I mean by that. So it's an interesting setting. So that one was EA. Let's go ahead and put that back. So let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is VC3CDM. And the initial setup is 38. And it is vertical compression and vertical countdown. I'm curious to see what this does. Like, all I'm seeing is, like, it's just making the screen pop up, like, pop in several modes. Not sure what this does. But, let's go ahead and put it back to 38. Alright, next one. Next one is where am I? That one was 46. Let's look at 47, which is RB, and the initial value for that one is 0, and that is red bias. So I'm assuming this is going to change the red. So if I go to FF, you'll see there is a lot of red, because if you think of RGB, this is basically what it's doing, and that looks pretty cool when I actually do that. And obviously the next one is probably going to be G, or as for green, and then after that blue. So let's see if I'm right. Yep, it's G. So let's go ahead and go back a little bit more. The initial setup value for that one is 0, but it's interesting that I think this one was different. Let's go ahead and set this one to 0. And you'll see we get green, but I think I'm going to set it back to a different value so that I get a good temp. Well, actually, I think I'll just put it back to 0, because it really doesn't look that off. And then the next one is going to be blue. Oh yeah, by the way, the initial setup for all three of these colors are 0. And all these say are bias. So this one was red bias, this is green bias, and this is blue bias. And all of these are supposed to be set to blue. So that's really that. So basically, this is more blue. If I go back to the green, this is more green, and then this is more red. Basically, if you have knowledge of doing RGB, that's basically how your entire coloring is going to be on this. So that was 47, 48, and 49. All those are initial setup value of 0. And let's take a look at the RD, which is, let's see, RD is red drive. And by the way, this one goes from 49 to 4A. So this is 4A RD. Initial value, initial setup data is 40, and this is red drive. So let's see what this does. I'm assuming this does something about the red or something like that. I'm not too sure. But let's see what this does. Maybe if I go back to FF, maybe it does something. I don't really notice. Oh, it just looks like it adds red. Yeah. As I'm changing the color, it's making it a different one. So let's see, that was RD. So let's put it back to 40. All right, next one is 4B. This one's another long one. I'll just read it from the screen. BGS 5RG D4GD. The initial setup value for this one is OB. And this is blue gamma, red green gamma, and green drive reduction. So I'm assuming this like the other one handles RGB, but in a more fluent way. So as you can see, as I'm updating this, it's constantly looping. So I'm just going to put that back to 0B. It looks like since it like loops, it's really every if I'm correct, B, that would be every, am I doing this right? Every 11 cycles or 10? No, every 11. Yeah, every 11 cycles. I think you get what I mean by that. So, that was 4B. Now let's look at 4C. 4C is blue drive, and the initial setup for that one is 40. So BD, blue drive. And I assume that this is just going to do something about the blue color. Now, as I'm doing this, oh, that's cool. That's really, really dark. And the initial for that one is 40. And so we're going to just put it back to 40. Actually, I'll just keep on going just to show you what it looks like when I loop the entire thing. There you go. I think it loops like every, like, maybe 128 values. I could be wrong. Maybe every 64. Okay, let's put it back to 40. That was the initial hex value. So our next one we're going to do, let's see, that was 4C. Next one is 4D, and that is, let's see, 4D, SBI, hang on, there we go, SBI, and that stands for sub-bias. Not sure what that does, but the initial value is 40. Let's take a look to see what that does. Honestly, all I'm seeing is that the screen is kind of getting brighter. Yeah, I was right. So let's go ahead and put it back to 40. So next one, we skip 4E and 4F and go to 50 because these ones right here aren't used. In fact, actually on the document, it says not used. So basically, they're just unused slots and stuff. So we're going to skip 4F. We're going to skip that. We're going to skip 4A and 4F and go to 50. And this is OSD. So this is on-screen display contrast. Assuming that these are different values. So as you can see, I changed the values of the OSD. So we go from dark, I'm going to say normal, bright, very bright, and then it just loops. So that one, so it's OSD, this is 50, the initial value is 1. So if I go back to 1, I mean, technically this thing is just looping like every, I'm saying every maybe 4 or 5 bits or something like that. So the initial value is 1. But you can change it to that. I'm actually going to leave it at 2 because I actually like how that is. So that's like one of the few settings that I'm just going to leave normal. Okay. So that was OSD, or on-screen display. Next one is 51, and this is BSD 7CR6. And the initial value is 40, and this is black stretch or coring. I don't know what coring is, but let's see what that does. Maybe it stretches the image. I don't know. Doesn't look like it's doing anything. I honestly don't know what this one does. Maybe someone knows what it does. Okay, so the initial value for that one was 40. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. We actually skip 52 and 53 and go to 54. And this is FLS. This stands for Y/C filter mode. I'm assuming this is doing something to the filter. All I'm seeing is it changing the screen, I'm seeing it change the position, But then again, I'm also thinking it's like also changing like the levels, because if you look closely, I can see some analog bits. And as I increase it, I know like the camera can't capture this well, but I am seeing some bits being fuzzy, some bits not being, so it could be that. So that was YC filter, FLS 54. Now we go to let's go ahead and put this back to the initial value to 40. And now let's look at the next one. This one is GYA 3CKO. The initial value is 2, and this is GY angle color killer operation. I'm assuming this does something to the color. That's all I'm seeing. And it's really hard to see on camera, but I am seeing like a small like filter when it comes or something like that to the color, like it's going bright and a little bit dark. So let's see, that was where is it? GY angle, the initial value was 2, so let's go ahead and put it back to 2. And let's see, so that was 55. Now we're going to look at 56. This one is a whopper when it comes to the length of this one, so hold your horses. FB P6 WP 4P RE 2C RG. Initial value is 42, and it says FBP blanking WP limit pre-shoot adjust coring gang. Now I don't see anything what this does, so honestly I don't know what this does. So maybe someone knows what this does, but I'm just confused. So the initial value is 42. Let's go ahead and switch that back. Okay, so 42. Let's see. Well, now we're on 57. This one also is pretty long. DC R4BSS 2BSG. The initial value for this one is 2. And this says DC reset, black stretch start, black stretch gain. I'm assuming this is going to do a bit of stretching or something like that, or I really don't see anything happening except for like maybe brightness or something like that. I mean, I am seeing like flashes, but I really don't see anything with this one. So let's go ahead and put that one back to which one was that one? 57. Let's go ahead and put that one back to 2. So the next one is 58. And this one is AFC 7C BP5. The initial setting is at 80, and it is auto flash / color band pass filter. Again, I am assuming this does something to the color, so let's see what that does. Really don't see anything. I mean, I do see some changes with the picture. I don't know if it's that noticeable. So the initial value for the auto flash was 80. Let's go ahead and put it back to 80, or 80 in other words. Alright, so the next one after that is another long one. So I'm going to read this out. DIG 6A BL 5M SD 4B AT. Initial value is 4, and this is OSD DA slash ABL defeat mid stop ABL threshold. So I'm assuming this does something to the OSD, but I don't really see anything happening. I mean, I do kind of see like some shading happening. Like, let me just zoom in, see if you can see that. I don't know if that's noticeable, but I see something like shading or something. So that one, the initial value was 4. Let's go back to 4. And that's pretty much that one. I honestly don't know what that does. But it says threshold, so I'm assuming it does something to the OSD, also the on-screen display. So that was 59. Now let's look at 5A, which is RWA, and the initial value is 2, and that is red. I'm assuming this has something to do with RGB. I don't know. It says RYBY angle. Let's take a look and see what that does. I'm not really seeing anything happening to the picture, but maybe it does something else. So let's go ahead and put it back to 2. Alright, so we're going to skip 5B and 5C because those are not used. And the next one is RAD. This is 5D. This is RF, AGC delay. The initial value is OF. And let's see what this does. I'm assuming if I had an RF signal hooked up to this thing, it would affect the RF. So I'm only using AV, but maybe it does something else. What happens if I hit input source? I can't change the input, so I can't really see what this does. So the initial value for that one was OF. So I'm going to switch it back to that. Alright, next one is FM mute / IF AGC. Not sure what that does. Oh yeah, by the way, it's FMM 7IAS. I'm going to say the function again. FM mute IFC AGC. So the initial value is 0. So I'm curious to see what this does. Maybe it does something with the FM or something. I don't know. Like maybe this is also RF like handling. So the initial value for this one is 0. So let's go ahead and put that back. I'm not sure what that one is, so I do apologize for that. Alright, so the next one we're looking at... Oh yeah, by the way, that one was 5E. Now we're looking at 5F, which is VL5FL. And the initial value for that one is 67. And this is video level / FM level. Again, not sure about the FM part of it. I mean, maybe this does something towards the RF. Like, if I had an RF mod, then it would do something like that. I don't have one on me, and my DV VSR combo doesn't have a tuner built in. So the initial value for that one is supposed to be 67, so let's go ahead and put it back to 67. Alright, so number 60 is HBL-L5. The initial value is 0. And this is horizontal blanking shift. So maybe it does something with the horizontal. I'm trying to look to see what this does. Oh, it says horizontal blanking left. So maybe it does something to like the left side of the screen. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. Actually, I'm noticing one thing. I know the camera can't capture it because it's not like the human eye, but I am seeing something like on the left happening. Something like that. Alright, next one is OBT. And this is 83, by the way. We're basically skipped through 70, and basically we're on 83. And OBT, the initial value is 84, and this is called AV option. So I'm assuming this has something to do with like the AV option or something like that. Excuse me. The initial value for this one is 84, so I'm going to put that back to 84. Alright, so the next one is OB2, which is 84. Initial value is 0, and this is game/V-guide option. I can't remember what the V-guide does on this TV. Honestly, I'm looking at the manual for this, and really for the V-guide, I don't honestly, the V-guide I think has something to do with I think I'm reading the manual right here. It's saying I just can't, I just don't understand what it is. Maybe it's like something about a channel guide, or it's like a honestly don't know, but maybe this has something to do with that. So I don't know what that does. But OBT2 has initial value of 0. And actually there's notes I see on this thing right here, but I'll have to take a look at that later. So let's go ahead and go to the next one, which is 8D, which is HR. HR stands for horizontal display position. And you'll see this actually changes the position of the horizontal of the OSD. And actually, I think this also changes the one for the menu. I'm not going to do that because otherwise I have to reactivate service mode. But as you can see, as the values increase, they go to the right, and as they decrease, they go to the left. So I'm assuming this also moves the display that you normally look at the menu on this thing. So that really is that one right there. And the initial value for that one is 10, and that is 8D. And let's just put it back to 8D. Now we have 8E SBO sub-right offset. Maybe this does something to... Okay, this is changing the brightness. So the initial value is 0. But as you can see, it is changing the brightness every couple bits. Like that, see? So let's go ahead and put it back to 0. Alright, next one is DRV. Now, this one I think has a weird screen. I can't adjust it. But like the next screen after that, which is 90, like you can't see it. It turns off the display, which is kind of weird. But you'll see it, there's like the little line that you see whenever you turn off a CRT when I do that. We're almost done. Actually, we are done. But I'll read off these ones from DRV and show you. We have red drive adjustment, blue drive adjustment, red bias adjustment, green bias adjustment, and blue bias adjustment. That is all of the service mode codes for the Sanyo DS13204. That is all of them that I could find, and I apologize if I didn't understand some of the others. I'm not that big of a whiz when it comes to CRTs. It's more like VCRs, but this was a little bit of a fun stream, but hopefully this is helpful if you're doing this. If you don't have the virtual manual, or if you don't have the service manual or service guide, I basically created this stream just to do it live. But this is all that I'm going to do, and this is the final stream, and hope you guys enjoyed this little go through, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.